Jim and Terry Show coming to you from the Hobbit Hole Studio in Bob Cajun. I'm your only host today, retired guy with a mug of coffee, Terry. And I'm talking about 50%. 50% sounds like, the cup is half full or half empty. What is it? Well, in the case of tariffs and Trump, it's definitely the cup is being drained. So I'm just going to say we're up to 50% taxes on goods coming from Canada. What goods? I thought we were already being tariffed the snot out of us from Trump's tariffs, which were already deemed by the Supreme Court of the United States to be illegal, and the money gathered by that tax should be returned to the payers of said taxes, which happens to be mostly American businesses, importers of foreign goods that were tariffed, and consumers who had to pay whatever the importers passed on to them in terms of price hikes. Well, I thought that was bad enough, and we're doing battle, and of course Trump stalled the talks and then didn't want the talks at all and called them off. And so we're in the limbo land of Kuzma still applies until it doesn't. And now Trump is on a thing. What do you call it? A thing when he goes after 50% tariff sucker punch. And this is an article from Dean Blundell, who I think follows these things fairly closely and gives you an interesting take on things American as they relate to Canada. So this is kind of crazy land talk here. And again, as the neighbor looking over the fence from the north to the south, well, maybe we're burning our forests and blowing with fans the smoke south. But are we worthy? Do we deserve to have this kind of attack? Trump is trying to crush Canada. There's no doubt about it. And if my good friend Jim were here, he'd be telling you that it's an attack. It's an economic attack, but it's war. It's an attack. And it's time to stop excusing this. I have several friends who maintain, he's just joking. That's just Trump. Nobody's taking this seriously. Really? Really? Carney knew what was happening. I don't know that it was all a planned exit of Trudeau, but Trudeau exited at the right time. Carney entered at the right time. And the whole thing has been managed on a global stage from Davos on to all the traveling that Carney did in his first few months of office, to which Pierre Poilievre was saying, Carney, look at he's out gallivanting around the world. Well, he's not even doing anything for Canada. Well, he was doing an awful lot. All those deals, yes, deals, Pierre Poilievre, deals that you would be unable to negotiate. You'd probably be unwilling to negotiate, and probably unskilled in the whole art of diplomacy. But here's Carney, who's got international connections and drawing on all the cards. Carney has all the cards, to use a Trumpism. Carney's got them, not the United States, Carney. And let's poke at it a bit and just say, what's going on? Okay, well, let's start with, all of a sudden, the Gordie Howe Bridge, which was built and paid for by Canadians, using 50% American labor and materials, but done by Canada, financed by Canada, and the charges for using the bridge were to go to repay the debt incurred in the construction thereof, knowing that it would be paid off in a matter of years, and then we can go into talk about sharing the fees and making some money from it. But that all got changed when the American owner of the Ambassador Bridge made a donation to Trump, and Trump's good friends Lutnick and Besant decided that this should not be opened, and so there was a big delay. Well, it's opening. Okay, so now we got our act together and we've decided we're going to play friendly and everybody's going to have an opening and ribbon cutting ceremony. Wait, hold the phone. 50% taxes on Canadian, what, aluminum? Canadian, what? We're going after Canada's hockey sticks. What's going on? And suddenly the Gordie Howe opening, delayed as it was going ahead, but now it's on the Canadian side only, with the Americans uninvited. Uninvited to the ceremony. Can you believe it? Yes, I can. It's time to play tough with the bully. It's time to stop taking it on the chin and going into the corners with our elbows up is not sufficient. It's time to put our money where our mouth is. And if you're Doug Ford, you gotta love Doug Ford when he goes off on strong talk, really. I think it's a case of it takes a bully to know a bully, and that's probably why Ford is so successful at that. For whatever reason, he's actually wearing the Captain Canada cape again and calling on Canada's provinces to unite. To unite? Yes, because apparently Ontario is the one that's bearing the brunt of all the tariff action that Trump's government has leveled at Canada. It's Ontario that's borne the lion's share of all of this. Well, that sounds a little unfair, you might say, and you would be right. Let's find ways that all of Canada's provinces could participate in sharing the burden of Trump's tariffs. And to a large extent, that has been true, except for one or two provinces. Can you name them? I'll give you a hint. One begins with the letter A and one begins with the letter S. Oh, would that be Alberta and Saskatchewan? Would that be Daniel Smith and Mo Scott? Yes, it would be. These things are predictable. And you knew that this was going this way from the moment of Trump's election. Who went down to participate? Daniel Smith. Who's the guy with the cowboy hat? The leader of the Separation Party in Alberta, who went down to negotiate billions of dollars of temporary loans to float a separatist government. Oh, would that be Alberta? Would that be Daniel Smith's blessing? Of course. So the West has not really stepped up, but perhaps it is time, and even Daniel Smith's tepid response to Trump's 50% is at least more than we've seen from her in years of separatist, anti-federalist chat from the West. And throw in Saskatchewan in there, and you've got, people who are looking after themselves. Well, it's time to start being Canadian again. And it wasn't just Canadians pulling booze off the shelves that's causing consternation. It's that Canada is united. And we are digging in for the long haul until Americans regain their sanity and impeach, convict, and remove the Orange Jesus. Until that happens, I don't see a way forward for Canada in the United States or Canada in the world. I think Premier Eby of BC just yesterday gave a nice little rah-rah sis-boom-bah speech of patriotism for Canada when he talked about the Trump administration. And his comment was something like, and don't quote me, but something like, when you pick on Canada, you'll find yourself in a pretty lonely place in the world community. And he's right. Ever since Davos, people have been saying, what's with the crazy train in the United States? We better plan around that. And they have been, and that's what Carney's been a part of. And that's what Pierre Poilievre has been riffing against and saying, he's ignoring domestic policies. No, he's making Canada survive an economic crisis of cosmic proportions, and we're doing okay. We're suffering. We're belt tightening. I don't know about you, but I am. And that's the way it goes when we all are in this together. Daniel Smith and Saskatchewan, let's get together. So Premier's Conference this week, I'm looking forward to hearing Wab Kinew call out Daniel Smith again and talk about the First Nations treaties, and you can't separate because First Nations hold the power. First Nations hold the cards in this case. So yeah, there's lots going on. 50%? Well, that could be the tipping point for some retribution, some tariffs going the other way, some let's tax the electricity we're exporting, let's tax the fossil fuels we export that they depend on. Let's play tit for tat. Is it time for the gloves to drop? No more elbows up. Get in the corner, drop the gloves, and have it out. United States, you don't know what's coming. Bye-bye for now.